everybody. Welcome to another book launch with the fabulous Roger Leslie. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, if you just put out a book once a year or twice a year, I would be so happy, Roger, because you know I am your biggest fan. Last year, Light Came Out of the Closet came. I know. Yes, I get it from Sandy. Light Come Out of the Closet came out last year, and today is the birthday of No Stranger Christmas, which I'm excited for. It is a YA novel, which, Roger, you showed me the YA novel just insinuates that it's fiction, which makes me happy. So, Roger, welcome. Tell us, everyone that's joining you, to celebrate this book today.
Hi, everybody. So thank you all for being here. To just introduce all of you to the guests who are online. Amy is my marketing expert, and as she said, my number one fan. I appreciate her. Andrea is my outstanding editor. She is an editor for many different clients. You can find her online. She's just brilliant. She's insightful, she's sensitive, she's caring, and she gives such concrete, clear, helpful feedback in the editing. Really, my books would not be what they are without her support and her keen eye. I've known Sandy for many, many years. She was my marketing expert, my publicist for many years until she retired. She's hosted many of my book events over the years. No Stranger Christmas is book number 20. This is my 20th book to be published. That's not that's not to say I only wrote 20 books. I have a whole file cabinet of books that never got published, but these are the ones that made it to publication. So I've known Sandy for a very long time. And my husband, Jerry, is here. Who is just the most wonderful person in the entire universe. He and I will be celebrating our 40th anniversary this summer.
Holy crap, that's a long
Wow, that's fabulous. Oh my gosh, so many big milestones. 20th book that's been published, not written. Roger, we need to talk about that filing cabinet, okay? We need to talk about it. I can always have more Roger Leslie in my life. And 40 years, that's incredible. Oh, I love it. That you don't hear those numbers very often anymore. So it's refreshing when you do hear them. And I just find that beautiful and amazing. So, Roger, before we start with Andrea talking about the editing, the fabulousness, I know she made me sound fabulous in an email the other day. It was beautiful. I'm like, wow, I did not know I was this wonderful. Thank you. It was fabulous. But tell us all about No Stranger Christmas, the inspiration behind it, a little bit about the story. And then, Andrea, we're going to go to you about when you read it and your editing and what all that process was like.
Great. Yes. So I love the challenge of tackling a new genre. And, you know, when it was Christmas time, year before last, I always display my favorite Christmas books. Every year I have a different set that I put out, but I have a whole crate full of Christmas books, including, you know, Dickens' A Christmas Carol, E.E. Cummings' Little Tree, Truman Capote's A Christmas Memory. And I was putting some of the books out and I was thinking, you know, I've never written a Christmas book and I would love to add my work to the myriad books that are out there already, celebrating the holidays and capturing the magic of the holidays. And that's what I hope to do, is to tell a good story and also capture the magic of the holidays, not just for Christians, because I know Christmas is a Christian holiday, but more inclusively for everybody, the magic of a time of year when it's cold outside. The novel is set in Michigan, so it's cold and snowy. And I grew up in Michigan, and there was something so sweet and magical and crisp about that time of year that I hope to depict that in the story. And essentially, it centers around a 14-year-old young man, wise beyond his years, struggling socio-emotionally with the fact that he feels he doesn't fit in, and he wants to be a filmmaker. And it is his 8th grade year at school, and the 8th graders always put on just a standard nativity production with no dialogue. So he decides he wants to be creative and add some narration to it so he could be the star of the show, because he's always wanted to direct, write, and star in his own production. And he feels like, wow, this is my first opportunity. Well, in comes an artist at the school who changes everything. She doesn't fit in with the school. She doesn't fit in with the teachers. She doesn't fit in with the students, but there's something eccentric and fascinating, and I hope fun about her, that he makes a connection with her, and that changes the trajectory of everything that happens that holiday.
I can't wait to read that.
I love that. She just comes up and, spices up his world eclectically, and I love it. I love that. So, Andrea, what was it like reading and editing? I know you and Roger have worked together a lot on his other books. So what was this one? Because being a Christmas book, I mean, it's only June, but I'm in the Christmas spirit now, Roger. Like Christmas year round. You kind of lost me there a little bit at snow. Okay, us Texans and snow don't get along. Okay, we're 75 to 80 on Christmas where we can go swimming. We're good. But snow is that we like to watch it on TV on the Hallmark Channel. You kind of lost me there, but I'm back.
So, well, first of all, it's almost intimidating to receive work from Roger, to read, to critique, edit, because he is such a wonderful writer, and he's done the same for me. He's edited my book and given me such wonderful feedback and helped shape the content and the trajectory of that a few years back. But without question, this is definitely my favorite fiction book that I've read of Roger's.
Oh, wow.
I did. He asked me to do a developmental edit, and so essentially that's where you read. Do more reading, a lot less markup, and then you give feedback back to the author with relation, particularly to the characters and the storyline and how all that goes. And it's just a beautiful story. And really, like all of Roger's books, there's just layers and complications, and much like he just described, without question. And the first page, the first thing that hits you is this idyllic, nostalgic Christmas, the way that you would see on a postcard.
That's a great recommendation.
I can imagine that, though, because Roger's writing is very beautiful in the sense where, I mean, you just have me at like one word, Roger. I'm just like, oh, okay. It's like, it just makes it where your mind is, I don't know, you paint such beautiful photos in your words and visually, so that's where I'm just like, oh, well, okay, I'm in it. I'm not going to put it down. I was only going to read 30 minutes. And then, 3 hours have gone by, Roger, and you do that to me. So it's one of those things, but oh man, you are the first one to tell me that it's intimidating to or have Roger, like when he sends you books and stuff, because I just can't picture Roger being intimidating.
No. Roger's not intimidating. But the quality of his work, I feel like, what can I possibly add to this? But actually, that is something wonderful about working with him, because in the process, it really begins to feel like a partnership, a collaboration. I don't feel at all like I'm, wagging my finger or anything. So no, it's fantastic. It's a great opportunity to work with Roger every time.
Yeah, I know. I just meeting with Roger, like Roger being on now just brings a smile. Like every single one of us are smiling, just having you on, Roger. Like it's just the thing you can. I mean, even if there was snow, Roger, I would probably still smile at you. I might moan a little bit, okay, but I would smile at you. So well, okay. So let's dive into the inspiration behind the book. I know that you said you were going through your Christmas ones. You hadn't written a Christmas one. So where did the idea for the story kind of come about to make it all inclusive and throwing in some characters and watching them develop? How did that story come about for you?
Well, as I mentioned to my writing coaching clients, I always suggest in the first draft, don't get it right, get it written. That's just a mantra that I have held for my own writing and for all of my clients.
Can you start using your quotes, Roger? You just open your mouth and quotes come out. I'm writing that one down.
So that one is a keeper. Don't get it right, get it written in that first draft.
I'm seriously writing that down.
And so I began with the intention of working on a book about a family who was financially struggling, that the 14-year-old son is the middle son. There are 3 boys in the family. And because he is wise beyond his years and because he's very proactive and he wants to help people, he wants to save Christmas for his family financially. He doesn't know exactly what the problem is. He just knows his parents are struggling. So the story starts there. But then as I was going through the manuscript, not revising, not editing, not tweaking, but just seeing where the creative energy directed me, it evolved into 2 layers of a story. So there's the story at home, what he's contending with at home with the financial struggles with his family, which is a pretty common Christmas theme. And then it evolved into this artistic element, and how then I started exploring the idea of, well, how do art and commerce work together? Because it seems like those of us who like creative pursuits, writing, painting, singing, it's just like there are the business people who often make a lot of money and are motivated by accruing wealth. And there are the people who tend to be on the more artistic side who, I speak for myself, I just want to make something excellent. I want to make something beautiful. I would love to prosper from it financially, but that isn't always the case. And it's definitely not my top priority. So as I was writing the book, it kind of evolved into 2 different elements, this financial struggle for the family and this artistic struggle that the main character, Frankie Lincoln, has. And in the course of the book, it's takes place in the mid 1970s, and he's 14 years old, and he's aware that he's gay, but it's not a time when he knows what that means. He understands it very well, and he certainly can't share it with anybody. So all these complications and layers are happening simultaneously, and they just started naturally weaving themselves together until it gets to one of my favorite scenes takes place in a diner between the artist mentor, and Frankie, where he's trying to figure out his spirituality and how this fits in with this glorious Christmas season. And he feels like an outcast, and he doesn't feel understood, and his parents are struggling. And he has this conversation with her about faith and about what it means to be himself. And she interprets it, because she is a physical art. She is a painter and sculptor. So she is a visual artist. She talks about how faith and art work together to make us whole and to make us feel complete. And of course, he's intellectual, but he's emotionally a little bit behind his maturation level. So he doesn't quite get it. But the rest of the novel is about his trying to figure out what she means and how that can work in his life with his family, with his desire to be a director, writer, and actor, and with his sexuality.
Nobody in the world but Roger Leslie would have a book that would bring all of those aspects together. The faith, the holiday, the love, the being your own person. And, oh my God, Roger, I just have chills all over to think that what a complex, I don't know if that's the plot or that's the description, but it's just a complex story, and I honestly can't wait to read it. So is it available to buy now on Amazon?
It is. It's up and ready and everything. We're doing a promotion on it. So your ebook today is 99 cents. Your paperback book you can also grab. So it is the birthday of this amazing book that, Roger, you're talking about. But as you talk about it, Roger, I mean, it's very obvious your passion when it comes to writing and telling these stories. But I feel like all the books that I've ever read from you, nonfiction, fiction, and then the YA one, they're all relatable. Because I feel like when the holidays come about, they're really challenging for a lot of people spiritually, for families, and just coping, right? I mean, the holidays can be very stressful and just emotionally challenging and spiritually challenging, right? And I feel like that's relatable for everyone. And 14 is such a rough age. I mean, I was reading it and I was trying to remember what I was like at 14, and I don't want to remember what I was like at 14. So that in and of itself was just, we had tears. I had to come to terms with I was 14 and did all this stuff, right? Because 14 is rough. But I think it's just your writing in all of your books, including this one, is relatable for everyone. You've either gone through that or you're currently going through that, or at some point in your life, you're going to encounter some of these things, right? And so I think that's what makes you, as Andrea says, a very intimidating writer to read sometimes, because it's you hit home, you know, and I think it's important. And especially I think, you know, with it being LGBTQ plus friendly, right? I feel like the holidays is one of those times when family gets together, and it can be very difficult in those seasons and times of life, and especially around the holidays for that, you know, when it's new and everything, and you're trying to come to terms with it, and family and all of that, it can be very difficult. And so I can only imagine this book really resonating with a lot of people on both sides of that. I think it's important to kind of have those conversations and to write about it. And plus, she wrote a Christmas book that's out in June. I mean, hello, I love it, because then we have what Hallmark does, Christmas in July, which, I mean, who isn't ready for that? Because it's hot here in the summer. You know that we're all looking at snow on these things and the snow globe. And then, you know, you have the holidays coming. And so I think that's one of the amazing things about your writing is it's so relatable, but you're not afraid. Roger, I want to ask you this question, because I feel like as a writer, it can be really challenging. You're not afraid to kind of tackle hard, difficult subject matter to talk about, and such a like elegant, nice way to kind of have, like, you know, you open the door for all kinds of conversations in your books. And so what is that like to write for you? Because I can only imagine tackling these hard, you know, concepts or hard emotional subjects, right? So what does your process for that look like? Because it's just beautifully, it comes out beautifully, not like thrown in your face in terms of like, you know, like in some books, emotional, it's so heavy emotionally, but you somehow make a heavy subject so lighthearted. And I want to just know how you do it, because it's beautiful. So I want to know.
Thank you. So the advice I give my writing clients and students is, you know, when you start a book, I recommend having the end in mind. And if you're very left-brained, very science, math kind of thinker, then you might create an outline, just a cursory outline, but then set aside the outline. Don't follow it, but just have the end in mind. It's like climbing a mountain. You can see the top of the mountain, but you don't necessarily know the paths that are available to get there. Because if you know where you're heading, but you don't know exactly how you're going to get there when you're writing the first draft, then writing the book is as exciting for the writer as reading the book is for the reader, because the reader's wondering what happens next, what happens next. And for those people who don't have any experience writing, this may sound very odd. Was like, well, what do you mean you don't know what's going to happen next? Aren't you writing it? But when you really delve deeply into your own psyche, what happens is, and when I start writing, I spend the first 30 minutes before my writing time meditating, because I'm trying to clear out my conscious mind, all the ideas that are coming in, all the anxious thoughts about, well, I've got to do this and I've got to make sure I cover this and do this. It's just like, you know, subconsciously, the book's already in you. So if you can just clear that conscious clutter out of the way and just start your trek up the mountain, then it becomes an adventure. And I think, to answer your question, Amy, that's what happens in the writing process, for me at least, is that all these different aspects come out because I get all these twists and turns up the mountain that I wasn't expecting. A character will show up, and consciously I'll think, well, what are you doing here? You don't belong here, or why would I need you? But if I just keep going instead of trying to fix anything in that first draft, then ultimately I figure out why that character is there and what role that character is going to play. So no matter what your creative pursuit, and I think everyone has creative talents and interests, I recommend just diving right in and trying to get into what's known as the zone. You know, just move into that subconscious space where creativity just flows. I'm often shocked about the things that I create and other people create. And I always think, on a conscious level, I used to think, well, how do they do that? Like playing the piano. It's just like, how do pianists get to move their fingers so fast and always hit the right keys, and they're in it passionately? And I just think, how do you do that? And in the novel that I'm writing right now, I explore that idea, because a young woman is learning to play the piano, and she comes to the realization, thanks to her teacher, that your conscious mind doesn't do it. You're not finding those keys, you're moving into that creative space where the flow is there. You become part of the flow. We are all part of something bigger than just us. And for some people, that's spiritual. Some people, that's God. Some people, that's, fate, whatever, however you interpret it. There's something bigger in that invisible realm of the world that drives us, that encourages us, that challenges us. And that's what I love about art. That's what I love about writing. This is like every time I finish a book, I think I want to make the next one better. I did the best I can with this one, but I think there's more in me. I can do better next time. And that's not an original idea at all. William Faulkner talked about that a lot in his career. It's like the minute you think the minute that what you put on the page matches what you had in your head originally, he said your career would be over because there's no growth after that. So I love that I never quite reached the pinnacle that I'm looking for, but with every book, I try to get a little closer and a little more dynamic and a little richer, and do that in such a way that is welcoming to people. And when you write from that place, or when you create from that space, that unified space, that's where the universal themes come in, because it's the shared experience. It's the shared human experience that we can all relate to, no matter, whether we're from a place where there's snow, or whether we had a family with financial struggles, or whether we wanted to be a movie director or not. There are universal themes that tie us all together. And I think when we create from that universal space, we write things that everybody can either identify with directly or think, well, I don't understand this context necessarily, but I can identify with it in such and such a way. That's the beauty of being able to write and try to reach other people, to inspire and empower, which I always hope to do.
Oh my God.
I can't top that. Like, I can't. And I'm like, here, you gotta go on to the next question. And I'm like, I just don't want to. Like,
I just want to know how Jerry lives with that. You feel like he's intimidating also?
I always tell people it's really hard on me to have to live up to a Roger Leslie. I'm telling you.
I can imagine.
Yeah. No, Roger is he's the most sincere and self-aware person I know. He's disciplined. He's kind. He lives life, and it's not passing Roger. Nothing is passing Roger by in terms of his living life and absorbing that experience and learning from it. And that's been one of the fun things about us as we've moved through all these years together, is that we've been willing to talk about it and where we are in life. And I'm the one that Roger helps me get unstuck so often because I'm the one that can get stuck in old stuff. And but Roger is always progressing and learning and growing, and he helps me do the same thing. And we're so fortunate to have spent the last 40 years together. We just went to our granddaughter's high school graduation, and when we got married in Canada in 2007, and because we couldn't get married here, and so we went to Canada, and our granddaughter was there. She was 1 year old, and now here we are. She's just graduating high school and going off to college. So all of that life that's happened in between there, and everything that's happened, Roger just absorbs it all and lives it all and learns from it all. And so,
Jerry, I was just kidding you when I said that, because I honestly think you're wonderful as well. I know when we did a lot of entertaining, David would always ask me, "Are Roger and Jerry going to be here?" We love having you guys, and you both have just been, like you said, you got married in a country because it was not legal here in our country yet, and so you guys have just been you've fought the battles for a lot of people, and now Roger with the writing and the examples. Oh my God, I just am awed by both of you. So I just want you to know that.
Thank you. It's been a great journey. It's been a fun journey, and we've gone through the deaths of our parents, and we've gone through many things that life brings you, and we just hang together, and we love each other and support each other through all of it. And I know 100% Roger is always genuine. He's always kind, and he will share with you honestly what his experience of life has been. And it's not always been easy, I'll tell you, but we've made it, and we're happy guys, and we're very fortunate.
And thank you, Jerry. And I also want to say that I couldn't do the things that I do with my writing and with my life without Jerry, because my dream was always to be a writer. But my number one priority always has been, I want to have a happy home. That was always the most important thing. And because Jerry and I have created that, I'm able then to be free to explore these spiritual concepts and do the writing. And so it's because he's such a beautiful support system for me that I feel free to just explore and take risks and do what I do in my artistic world and my professional world, because things are so great at home. When Jerry and I have just, I've had our kids and even some of my nephews have asked, how do you make it work? How do you make a relationship work? And my analogy is, I think a relationship is a dance. You have to learn the dance, and you have to learn how to stay in sync. And the fun challenge of it is life keeps changing the steps. Something will happen, and one person changes steps first. The other one has to learn how to get in sync with the person who moved first. If you can stay in sync, I think you can have a happy relationship for life.
Another quote for Roger Leslie.
I know. It's just positive. Like I'm telling you, whenever I'm down, Roger, I just need to call you and be like, Roger, I need a happy, sane quote for Puppies and Rainbows. Okay. I love it. But no, I think in all seriousness of it, Jerry, having that support system that Roger has that's from you, and having that happy home and stuff is very important for a writer and from a creative standpoint, to have that, so he feels comfortable exploring and doing all these new things, because he knows that no matter what, you're going to support him. And I think, in some instances and cases, that makes or breaks a writer, because the happier I have read, I can't say seen, but read in books, generally the author has a happy home life, right? And then when it's more difficult and stuff, it comes across in the writing. And so I think Roger, that plays a pivotal role in you. I mean, your mindset is just one to be in awe of, because I have never heard you lose it, say anything mean. You're always like, well, it's okay. It's all, you give me hope that one day I can be in the same mindset as you, right? So I have hope, Roger, and that's because of you. But I think having that also, Jerry feeds that. And I think you feed that for each other, and it comes across in your writing. And I think that's why your writing resonates with so many people, and you can tackle difficult, especially emotionally difficult subjects in such a nice, elegant way, right? That there doesn't always have to be conflict and stuff. You can work things out in different ways. And there's always a silver lining kind of thing, which I find to be amazing. So I have one kind of crazy, kooky question, but it's going around in my head, and I like rabbit holes. So you talk about your main character in your book wanting to be a director. So, because you're so close with your character, what would his favorite movie be?
That's a great question. He likes because his dream is to be a writer, director, and author. And the movie, the book takes place in the mid 70s. He loves Citizen Kane because that's what Orson Welles did. So that's his classic reference point. But if you know the history of cinema at all, in the early 70s, people like Francis Ford Coppola and George Lucas and other directors, Martin Scorsese to some degree, started doing a combination of roles. They didn't all act in their own movies, but some of them did. Warren Beatty did some to some degree as well. And so any movie where one person takes on all those multiple roles would be a favorite of Frankie Lincoln.
I like it. See, I wasn't even thinking the 70s kind of mindset. So I like that you kicked it back to movies that came out in the 70s to stay accurate to the time period. Sorry, my daughter's out. She put marshmallows on her eyes and wanted me to see it. So, it's okay. I'm going to live vicariously through her today because she's wonderful and just full of life. So, Roger, one question I like to ask all authors, and I ask you every time that we talk, how long did it take you to write this book? Not to get it finished and have Andrea tackle it, But how long just to write it? How long did that take you? Because I know you're very dedicated when it comes to your writing.
Am I the only one frozen, or is everybody else frozen?
No, I think those three are frozen. Hold on.
Well, Andrea's not, as I heard.
Okay, so it's just Roger and them. Okay, let me pause. Oh, we lost them.
They'll come back.
No, you know what? They're probably getting storms. We were having storms. So okay.
And they're
All right. So Roger yet again worked his magic, and the storms are gone, and we're all back. Who would have thought? I mean, I don't remember having storms this late, into the year, or especially early in June. We're usually just 150 degrees outside, melting. But so welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. But let's dive in to your cover, Roger. So Dina Ray did your cover. Andrea has not seen it. And so I feel like the best time to just show everybody is now. So I'm going to show them. And Roger, I want to know your thought process about around the cover. And then Dina, what it was like for you and your guys' kind of collaboration. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. I have to pull it up. So give me a minute. I had it, and then we all went black. Okay. All right, I got it. Here we go. Yay. Oh,
I am so pleased.
magical.
Thank you, Dina, so much for this beautiful, beautiful cover. So here was what we were going for. There were two different options. In the novel, Frankie has a favorite Christmas decoration, and it's a candelabra, a plastic candelabra that has different colored light bulbs, the shape of flames. And he keeps it in his bedroom window. And throughout the course of the novel, there's a flashback scene where something happened when he was very little in relation to him and his parents that made that his favorite Christmas ornament. So one idea that Dina and I experimented with was having the image of the candelabra in the window as Frankie was looking out from his bedroom with the snow scene behind it. And then when that didn't seem to work out, Dina recommended, well, the whole climactic scene of the novel takes place at the Nativity before the midnight mass on Christmas Eve. And so in the churchyard, there is a tall pine. And so it was Dina's idea to highlight that as an image. And then over time, with multiple tweaks, we decided where to add the lights. And then she had the idea of making the multicolored strands of light behind it as a reference, as a gentle reference to the LGBTQ element of it, the colorful flag-like multiple colors of the background. And I think it captures the tone of the writing just beautifully, because it's beautiful, it's simple, there's light that seems to emanate from the center of the cover and the background as well. And it feels comforting. It looks really cold, but to me, there's something very comforting about the way Dina designed it that I'm very pleased with. So thank you, Dina. I love what you did.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I had a lot of help with Amy. I would, before I'd send it to you, I'd send it to Amy. I'd say, okay, what do you think? Hop on to meet and let's like collaborate together, because I wanted to get the coloring right. I didn't want to have I wanted to go all out with the rainbow, right? But I wanted it like 80s rainbow, because I love the 80s. And so Amy had to pull me off that ledge, and that's how we came up with it. But I lucked out with finding the picture, because I didn't really have to do too much to it. I had to extend it out, but I love that picture. I think it's hopeful to me.
This is a tree I would go see in the snow. I'm just saying. And that's a lot, because I don't like being cold. This is a tree I would hike like in, Christmas vacation when they're hiking to get their tree and they're all, her eyes are frozen open and stuff. This would be me to come see this tree. I'm just saying it would bring me joy to see that. I do find joy in those things. I would trek the snow. Sandy, what were you going to say?
It really is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I read, Roger, I love the one you did last year for your memoir, and that cover. Uh, I like the fact that it's not just the rainbow, because it's more. I mean, I love the rainbow and I love everything that represents, but this one is subtle, very, very subtle, and I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I love that, but I also like the glittery looking title also. So I'm kind of into bling myself, but that looks really nice. Anyway,
I had a hard time picking the font for that because I didn't want it, we didn't want it too childish, but we didn't want it too serious either, because it's,
I think you did a great, all over every aspect of it is beautiful. And I love, it's almost like you're looking at the Northern Lights or Aurora Borealis or something when you see those lights coming through there. It's beautiful, beautiful.
Yep, I liked it. Thank you very much. And I'm just glad Roger's happy with it, right? So,
Very pleased. Thank you, Dina. Very happy.
Everyone I do, I'm like, oh my God, is this going to be okay? Yeah.
Andrew, you can see from that.
Yeah,
good work
Roger, before you get, the 5 or 6. No, I know. Before you get the 5 or 6 from me, Roger, it's generally me and Dina going through like 30, and we've narrowed it down to 5 or 6. So we make sure.
Well, I appreciate that.
100%. Oh yeah, but
And
I think it's it's important.
Well, it just speaks to the power of collaboration. I have a strong sense of collaborating with Andrea because she's my editor, and I'm immersed in the writing process, the visual aspects of the interior design, which Dina did also, and the cover design. I feel like I can contribute some, but I don't feel like I am the main contributor to that. I just have some ideas about what I imagine, and then it's just so reassuring to pass off the ideas and then trust the artists around me to do what they need to do to make things work. And collaboration is so essential because with Andrea, there are certain things that I didn't think about, the elements of the story, or maybe just one facet of a character that one detail makes such a difference on how a reader would interpret that character. And she helps me notice that. And I feel the same way with the collaboration that Amy, Dina, and I did for the book cover. It's just like, we gave it to Dina and she works her magic, but then Amy's feedback and then my ideas came together. And, when you get multiple people working on something, it just becomes exponentially so much better than if one person were just to try to do it alone.
That is very true. That's true throughout the whole publishing world, maybe through the whole world period, but especially in publishing. It really does help to have those people around you that add to what you do and support you, and those that you can trust. And so I think that's one of the things that we learned along the way, Roger, was that who we could trust and who we could depend on. And so it really does work. Good job.
It does matter to have a good team.
Yes.
That helps fulfill. So, because that's like even on the interior for No Stranger Christmas, originally I was going to put a candelabra up at the top, and I gave you like 4 choices. And then, after I was laying them out, I was like, yeah, I don't like how the candelabra looks, but I'm going to go ahead and give him the option in case, that's what he wants. And then I found a couple of trees to put, on the chapter title start pages. And I was like, I really hope he likes this one. And then you liked the one that I liked. And I was like, all right, well, that worked out pretty good. So I went here and go, yeah, I really don't think the one you want is really good. But
yeah.
So that was a good thing.
Yeah. I think when you collaborate, from an author standpoint with other creatives that are stronger in areas in which you're weaker in, but you share the same envisionment for your book that you do, right? I think that makes the process a lot smoother. And I think that can be a challenge in and of itself, is finding those people, right? That can always be a challenge in and of itself. But another challenging thing, Roger, is book titles. And I'm dying to know, how did you come up with the title No Stranger Christmas? How did that come about?
So I like multiple meanings, words with multiple meanings. And so for the longest time, I just called the working title of the book the whole time I was writing was just Christmas Eve, because Christmas Eve has always been my favorite holiday, because it's the beginning of everything, but it's still the day before all the really big stuff happens. So there's just this sense of anticipation. So I've always loved Christmas Eve, but as a book title, it doesn't do anything. It's just Christmas Eve. And so as I was revising one day, Frankie's brother called Frankie strange. And I thought about the word stranger, because later in the book, Frankie feels like a stranger among his classmates. And so I thought, wow, so that's kind of a double meaning to the word strange. Stranger as in more strange than somebody else, but stranger as in a person who doesn't fit into a community, a family, any group. And so I started to play with that idea of strange in the title. And although my goal is to always be positive and encouraging in everything I say, I struggled with the idea of starting with the word no in my title, because like, oh, no is not a Roger word. But as I worked with it, it's like, No Stranger Christmas, that works very well. And Andrea knows the ending, so she can appreciate, especially, I like how at the end of a book, sometimes an author will add something that adds a whole new nuance to what I understood about what was going up to that point. And I hope that works effectively in the very end of this book with the word stranger. And that's what I was going for. So that's how it with the title. And once I had that title, I just, whenever I revised it, revised the manuscript after that, I kept seeing different ways that things were strange to Frankie, and how Frankie was a stranger and stranger came into his life. And it just seemed to keep working on different levels and different facets. It was, like, aspects of a prism. Every time you turn the prism, I saw something I didn't see before around the word stranger. And that's what made me decide, okay, I like that very much.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, no, I've never, and I never truly stopped to think about it, but you did start it with no, which is like technically a negative word or an empowering word, right? If you are used to saying yes and to have the power to say no, right? Then it could be both. Okay, I could see that. But the whole, when you say the whole thing together, though, it is really positive, like No Stranger Christmas. So you did flip the no into a positive, because it just means that no one's going to be a stranger. We're all just friends and family and besties at Christmas. Okay. Like none of us are strangers. You could walk off the street and we still love you and treat you like our best friend, So I love that. I truly never see, every time I talk to you, I learn something new about either your writing style or your book, the current book we're working on, your envisionment for it. And I was like, that is true. That could be a negative word, but you spun it so, yet again, Roger-esque of you, positive. So I love that you can do that. I think it takes a special mindset to be able to turn all those things positive, right? I think it's important. And it comes across in your writing, which is why I harp on it all the time, because I'm like, more people need this in their life. So speaking of more people needing this and positive and all this stuff, what's next for you? What are you working on? How many are you working on? I know sometimes I talk to you, you're working on 10. Has that grown? Are we still at 10, or have we gone down and we've completed some? What's next for you, Roger?
So I am always in the process of working on multiple books at different stages, as you know, Amy, because you were working with me on some of them already. But my next big project that is coming out next will be a memoir of my years in the classroom, where I pay tribute to the students I knew who made the biggest impact and who taught me not only what I needed to learn to be a teacher, but to be a good man. And so that book is called Being Mr. Leslie, what I learned from what my students taught me about teaching and life. And we're slated to have that one out next spring. as you know, we're already in the process of moving toward interior design, and the book's written. I've reconnected with all those students who were from most of those students. And, you know, I taught them back in the late 80s, early 90s. So this is it's a very nostalgic and heartwarming reunion for me, because I had not connected with some of these students in decades. Now, some I follow on Facebook, and just let me let you know, it's a very
You left me on a cliffhanger.
What a place
No.
to be.
Oh man, but I'm so glad that he mentioned. Oh, Roger, I'm so glad you mentioned this. You froze, but I'm so glad that you mentioned this book, because I wasn't sure if we could talk about it or not. That's why I was alluding to it. But I had the honor of asking them to get their photos, which are going to be in this book, some of them, and they, oh my gosh, you can truly see. I mean, I thought you affected my life, okay? But the impact that you've had on these people's lives and your students, they were so excited to do this, like to send me their photos and to give like their own kind of like quick summary of what it was like being with you and how you impacted their life. Like it's from an outsider looking in, that I've known you for a couple years, not as long as Sandy, right? Not as long as Jerry and your students, not any of that, but the impact you've had on my life, right? And my mindset, it's always so fascinating to see the impact that you've had on your students. And the ones that we reached out to, they were just like full force. Yes. Like, let's do this. I can't wait. Like, I have so many wonderful things to say. Like it was an amazing email thread to have to be on. So I'm so excited we're talking about this book, because I'm truly probably the most excited for this book, because at the time I didn't know you, and I'm excited to know you at that time.
Well, it really was mutual, because my students were so loving and encouraging to me. It really inspired me to keep wanting to give my best, do more creative things in the classroom, find ways to help them succeed, no matter what they wanted to do with their lives. You know, I taught English, but I knew not every student loved to read, and not everyone loved literature the way I did. But it opened the door, because literature talks about everything. So I could use literature as a springboard to help my students figure out how to set goals, what they wanted to do with their life, have a vision, have the courage to pursue the vision. And so they fed my soul so much that they gave me the freedom to really want to go 100% and give them my all. So I really owe it to them, because of them, I became Mr. Leslie. And when you read that book, you'll understand what that means.
I love it. Oh, I love it. I can't wait. I wish it was next year. I mean, I'm excited for it today, but I'm just like, I really want, I'm so excited for that book, because I feel like it's so different, right? And I feel like, you know, my daughter's starting school in August, right? And so, you know, teachers are going to be with her a lot throughout the day, right? And throughout the year, you know, sometimes more than I will be, right? And so the impact that teachers have on kids' lives at any age really is just so important and so deep, right? And so I'm like, man, like, I don't know. I appreciate teachers. One, they put up with a lot. I'm even going to say high school and kindergarten teachers, okay? They put up with a lot. But, you know, it's just, they're also, you know, like you said, a springboard or encouragement, and that one person that's driving, right? And so teachers are so important. And so, I'm so excited for this book, Roger. I cannot wait. I know that we're going to do it justice for you and have a big shindig and blowout, and I can't wait to do.
And Roger, if you don't have on your list of future books a compilation of your quotes, let me recommend that you do something.
Sandy really wants that, Roger.
I will definitely help you get that word out on that one, and buy as many copies as I can, because I love
Sandy will be your biggest buyer.
Well,
you know, Roger and I met in education classes at the University of Houston. So we were both aspiring teachers back in the early 80s, and that's where we met. And we started our teaching careers together in 1985 at different schools, but we started our teaching careers together. So,
and Jerry has just as many stories of students who love and appreciate him and what he did for them to give them courage and insight and inspiration to follow their dreams as I have. I'm just the lucky one because I get to write about it. You know, Jerry is an educator and a singer, so he might entertain people by singing about it, but I have the great fortune of writing about it. And so that's how they end up in my books.
And
It
you're
was-
also
it was
a
a-
pastor too, I think, aren't you, Jerry? Are you
Yes,
still a pastor?
yeah, and a school counselor. So I've worn lots of hats over the years. But Roger and I are very fortunate. It was a great career, and we met so many wonderful kids over the years, and it's been fun, really, with the advent of social media, to be able to catch up with them and follow up with where they wound up, and
I think
just
all of them were blessed to have you two in their life. Absolutely. I
it's
could
so
ask for
great.
nothing better than to have you two teach my children. So,
Oh, thank you.
although
was-
they're your age, so
Yeah,
you would never have taught them, but I have grandchildren though.
Yeah.
I love that though. UH is special to me. That's where Josh went. That's why we moved to Houston. That's how I got to meet Sandy in person and how I got to meet Roger, So go Cougs. I feel like Cougs just bring everybody together. Okay. UH is where it's at. I'm telling you 100%. But Roger, before we wrap up on this birthday of this amazing book, I'm going to let everybody go around and talk about this book. I know Sandy hasn't read it, but she is just as big of a fan of you as I am. And so I know that she's ordered it and she's going to read it. So let's go around. We'll start with Sandy and then we'll work our way up to you, Roger. So Sandy, you go.
Well, I want to start by saying, Roger, do you know Sharon Jenkins?
I'm not sure I do.
Okay, well, I want to introduce you because Rita and I were on her. She's got a summit coming up this next week, authorpreneurship. And so Rita and I are one of the speakers, and we did our interview yesterday. And she said, tell me one example of someone that has won awards. And anyway, it was a perfect description of you. And so I'm like, okay, I know exactly the person. And so they had told me that. I knew I was going to be asked that question. And Rita said, I'm going to let you answer this one. I'm like, okay, I know. So I did talk. And then for the rest of the show, it felt like every time she mentioned an example, I'm like, that fits Roger as well. And she goes, I want you to tell Roger he needs to watch this when it's live because we are now going to call this the Roger Leslie Show. Because I got to tell them about many of the experiences because it was Rita and I, and Rita is the one that introduced you to me. I was at her event when I met you the first time and met the guy that I never remember his name from Bayou Publishing.
Victor Luce.
Victor Luce, yes. And so, honestly, Roger, I can tell you that of all the people that I met and worked with in the company that I had for 20 years, no one left an impact on me like you did. I mean, not only the spiritual aspect or the ability, the writing ability or your personality or our discussions on the importance of marketing and all of the things we did. I mean, it was just, for those of you that don't know, I tell this story occasionally, and I told it yesterday. Roger called me one day and he said, I've got a book coming out. I've been praying about it and praying about who I should get to help me with the launch of the book. And so I prayed and God told me to give you a call. And he goes, I have $600. So can we work with $600? And I said, Roger, if God told you to call me, we'll work it out regardless. Believe me. When God calls you, you don't say quibble over a few dollars or anything. So, and I have lots of Roger stories like that. So I just love it. Love you. Love your books. And I am your biggest fan.
She is. I rank second. I got my fandom from Sandy. So it's true. Dina, it's you.
Okay, well, I don't have the working relationship with you that my mother
You're the
does.
newbie. You're the newbie.
Yes, I'm a freshman for the second time ever. So, but one thing that has struck me about you is I have never seen you out of sorts, out of whack, out of line. You're always, as someone who flies by the seat of their pants and is a scattered, hot mess. You are like my Zen. And I've never seen, you did not have this huge smile on your face. You always seem so happy, so calm. I'm never, well, okay, I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. I am happy, but I'm never calm unless I'm asleep. And even then, it's not very calm if you look at my bed, because it's like all destroyed. So I'm a toss and turn something crazy. But you're like what I want to be when I grow up, is of that level of calm. And as a 55-year-old woman, to say that I'm not grown up, that I'm sorry, that's on me. But I do want to be like you when I grow up. I want to be that calm and collected and happy and centered. So, and I think it comes through in everything you do.
Thank you, Dina.
All right, I'm done.
Jerry.
Well, when Roger and I first got together, he was just as buoyant and positive and happy back then as he is now. And I
His
thought
whole life he's been like that.
his whole life, yeah.
Oh my God.
I thought it was my job when we first got together to bring him back down to the real life, bring him back down to earth. And I tried, but I gave that up very quickly, because this is genuine Raj, and he's a grateful person. He is positive. He's loving. He's caring. He's devoted and committed to do his best. And I watch his routine day in and day out, and it is as real as anything can be. And so this is real Raj. And everybody that I know, my family, our friends, know that about him. And I know it's kind of tough to believe, but it really is the real Raj. And I'm blessed to spend my life with him. And so what he has to share, it comes from his heart. And I just want nothing more than this book and all of his books to be successful.
Thank you, Jer.
And that's wonderful too.
I love it. The support system's coming in. I love it. I love it. Andrea, what about you?
Well, I too am just so honored to know Roger, and what a surprise it was to me probably 12 years ago, I think, when we met, that you would become such an important part of my life. Specifically, one of your traits that I see in the main character of this book is the ability to accept yourself, have full not just acceptance, but embrace the people around you, circumstances, be what they may, whatever that may be. And as I have noticed in other books you've written too, there's just, you are a well-rounded person, and this part of you, this theme that comes out in this book and in other books about this young gay boy that's discovering himself and walking through, figuring out that's only an aspect of his life. And that is one of the things I love about you, is there's so much joy and love that is just a part of who you are, and it has nothing to do with your sexual orientation at all. And I think that makes this particular book appealing, not just to a YA audience, but like I've told you, even in the edit, I'm a white, straight woman, mom, wife, mother, all those things. And I love this book, as I love Light Come Out of the Closet and some of the other books that I've read of yours. So I really just think that there is a lot in here that to unpack, that a lot of people across the board will relate to. And I wish you the very best on this book.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, why y'all got to do me dirty like that? Now I got to follow up all of you guys. Like, come on. Oh my goodness, you guys. Okay. Well, Roger, one, you know that I am your second biggest fan because Sandy claimed the title. So I am your second biggest fan. But your books for me, right? So when you I don't remember if you called me or you sent me an email when Sandy had retired and me and you were going to start working together. I called Sandy and I was like, oh my God, Sandy, Roger Leslie called me and he wants to work together. I'm like, oh my God, I'm totally fangirling. Like I had this fangirl moment. Okay. I'm not even ashamed to say it. I fangirled like I was stuck in your tour bus and you said hi to me. Okay. And it was one of those things. And as we've been working together and putting out these amazing books and everything like that, I just realized how I thought I was a puppies and rainbows silver lining person, unless you really made me mad, right? But you are a mindset shifter for me in a way that I'm just incredibly honored to say that I know the great Roger Leslie is how I introduce you, the great Roger Leslie, when I tell people. But your writing for me resonates in a sense where whether I've encountered that issue or I could potentially encounter that issue or emotional struggle in the future, or I'm currently going through it, your books give me hope and fill that emotional void or darkness that I feel like we all feel sometimes. And your book is like the light that shines through for that. And it brings me kind of back where I'm like, wow, I have so much stuff to just be grateful for and to really just be thankful and be in the moment, right? And so I tell you every year, your Divine Destiny is one of my ultimate favorite books. I read that one at the beginning of every year. It's just one that sets my tone for the year. And so I don't read many authors' books continuously every year. And that is the one book I read every year to set it. And so the fact that I get to work with you and put out some of these crazy, like amazing, incredible, crazy books that you put out, and then the way that they're going to impact people's lives is the biggest like honor and reward that you could give me. Like me just saying I know you and I'm like, I've been on a live with Roger Leslie. Like, oh my God, is one of those like big moments for me. So I'm just incredibly grateful for you and for you to have the passion for writing, because you are one of the best writers and storytellers I know, and you tackle difficult subjects in such a lighthearted way. And so I just hope that you write forever, and it just continuous and it just impacts the world in the way that it is. And so I'm just honored to be with you, Roger, on this journey of yours. It's wonderful. So
Thank you so much. Thank you, Amy. And thank you all of you for your kind, encouraging words. I just want to conclude this whole launch by just reminding viewers and readers that whatever answer you're looking for is already in front of you. I'm a firm believer that when you're ever inspired to do anything, that's not the beginning of the journey. That's just the point at which you have caught on to what your role in that journey is. Because before you ever have an inspiration, life has already set up every instance and every person you need to help you make your dreams come true. And that's one of the things I cover in this novel, No Stranger Christmas, is that we look outside of ourselves for answers, but the answers are already inside. So if we go within, whatever spiritually that is to you, whatever psychologically that is to you, however you do that, you have all the resources you need already to be as happy and successful and fulfilled as you could possibly ever want to be. And that magic in life that we experience during the holidays comes from within, and you give that out by finding it in yourself. That, I hope, is what people take away from this book, no matter what your life experience.
And on that note, you guys, because I can't follow up. So, and on that note, you guys, No Stranger Christmas is out today. It's 99 cents. Go and grab your copy of this amazing book. I know it's going to resonate with you and bring you hope and inspiration in ways you probably didn't even think of. So go and grab your copy of it. All of you guys joining on to share in the love of Roger and his amazing books. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and talking with us and celebrating No Stranger Christmas. So the link to purchase the book is in the copy and in the comment section down below, you guys. But until next time, when Roger comes out with another book, everybody, we hope you all have a great rest of your evening. Go and dive into this book. But until next time, bye, everybody.